Doodle, doodle.
David is a little boy who loves to draw. But today is very different. David was in a terrible mood.
Why? I can't always draw well.
David tore the drawing paper into pieces. The ground was littered with paintbrushes and paper balls. After venting his anger, David was still very angry. He kept breathing heavily. When he walked out of the study, he happened to meet his grandma feeding porridge to his sister. Grandma said to David,
"You're breathing heavily anyway. Why don't you help your sister cool down the porridge?"
David blew on the hot porridge. My sister and Grandma both laughed. But after doing this, David's mood became even worse. His face turned red with anger. "Start shouting!" There was a cry of "Whoa!" Just then Grandpa came over. He bent down and turned his ear to David and said,
"David, are you singing? What are you singing about? I cannot hear clearly. Come to Grandpa and sing."
David covered his mouth in embarrassment. He shook his head and ran away. The angry David returned to the study. This time he decided to vent his emotions by banging on the table. He banged the table. All the paintbrushes and papers on the table fell to the floor. The chair was overturned. My mother, who was mopping the floor, heard the noise. She said to David,
"You have to knock anyway. Why don't you give Mom a pat on the back?"
So David, who was losing his temper, started to slap his mother on the back. It seems that knocking on the table is not a good way to lose your temper. David decided to lose his temper in a different way. Thump, 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 thump. This time, David decided to jump up and down and throw a tantrum. Just when David jumped in anger, Dad showed up. He said to David,
"David, you dance so energetically. I want to join too."
After a lot of trouble, yelling again, breathing heavily again, knocking on the table again, jumping again, David was so tired that he was sweating profusely. He decided to sit down and rest for a while. David was so tired that he fell asleep. Just when he woke up, he discovered that his parents, grandparents, are here. Dad stroked David's head, said happily,
"Thank you for dancing with me."
Mom brought a plate of fruit and said with a smile,
"Thanks for the slap on my back."
Grandpa took a football and thanked David for singing to him. Grandma brought David a glass of boiling water. Even his little sister brought David her favorite toy. Everyone said to David,
"Thank you for having a terrible day."
David was eating fruit and holding water. Said shyly,
You're welcome, but I'm in a good mood today.